Hey everyone, it's another cool week of Come Follow Me. We're going through Ruth and then 1 Samuel 1-3. Now please read that correctly because my husband read it as Ruth 1 and then Samuel 1-3. So there is a 1 Samuel and a 2 Samuel in the Bible. So read that, read the comma because a lot of people have missed it. Alright, so in the book of Ruth, it's a short 3 chapters and you're like, what is this even here for? It's just a nice story. It does teach us some really awesome stuff. But what it kind of is, and I think why they put it in, is after Judges being so hard and just full of so much violence and ugliness, here it comes in this beautiful story of redemption and forgiveness and love that happened in the same time as Judges was happening. So to show that even in the midst of all this ugliness, there's still beautiful stories that emerge. There's still beautiful goodness and the Lord's still with us. So it's really just a lovely story. So we're going to look at Ruth a lot for 3 of them, and then we're going to do a couple on Hannah. We'll look at Samuel next week because it's just the beginning of his story, and it's like, well, let's look at some really awesome women this week because, why not, right? Okay, so in chapter 1, we're going to look at verses 14, 16, and 18. So basically, there's a man called Elimelech, and it's a lot of L's, married to a lovely lady called Naomi. They're in Nazareth and Bethlehem, and there's a famine. They leave to find food, and while they're left to find food, their sons grow, and they marry Moabite women, which was fine for them. They were happy with that. And then the husband dies, and then in quick succession both sons die as well, leaving 3 widows by themselves. And remembering in those days that being a woman by yourself, not such a good plan. So Naomi, just in absolute grace, says to these 2 daughter-in-laws, the best thing for you is to go home. And Orpah says, actually, I think that's a good idea. I'm going to miss you guys a lot. I love you. I'm going to miss you. But I'm going to go back home because I'm still young. I can get remarried. Ruth says, actually, I'm going to stay with you. I could go, but I committed to you. I committed to your family. I committed to your religion. I'm going to stay with you. And I know that God is true, and I know that He'll protect us. It doesn't mean that Orpah was less. It's just that her best journey was for her to go home. Ruth's best journey was to stay with Naomi. So there's no right or wrong or made bad decisions here. It's just what it was. So let's look at 14. This is them as they were departing and breaking up. And they lifted up their voice and wept again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. So you can see that even in their parting, it wasn't like Orpah was just like, see yous. She actually really did care about them. But Ruth decided to stay and look after her, and I think that's just showing of the character she was as well. Not that Orpah was less, just that was Ruth's character. And then in 16, Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee, for whither thou goest I will go, and where thou lodgest I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. So she had fully committed to the religion part of being Jewish, because that's what they were then. And that's a big thing because the Jews really looked down on the Moabites, and she was a Moabite, and they did not like them at all, which is even braver to say, I'm going to go back home with you, knowing that I will be a lesser citizen and we'll be probably poor the rest of our lives, but we'll live them out and we'll look after each other. And then in 18, this is Naomi. So when she saw that she, meaning Ruth, was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her, so she didn't keep saying, no, you should go home, you should go home. So what does it mean to be steadfastly minded, to have this characteristic? So Ruth and Naomi is such a beautiful story of love and redemption in such a harsh time. And yeah, we can read in of that in Judges. We know it happened during Judges. We read that in 1 verse 1. It was just through Judges. It just tells you it happened there. But we read of Israelites who were good, faithful, generous, and devoted to God. So they were there. They did exist. This shows us example of covenant-keeping, righteous people. So Ruth is courageous. She's valiant, loyal, steadfast. She left behind her family, her familiar home, to go to Bethlehem with Naomi, knowing the Israelites were in no way favorable to the Moabites. So are you steadfast? We might not need to cross countries like Ruth, like the early pioneers did. Yet we can find and create steadfastness and Ruth-like qualities in the Zion that is our homes. So whether it's crossing the floor to turn the TV off because the television program isn't good, or whether it's crossing the floor to, walking down the hallway in your home to spend time with your children, whatever it is, you can be steadfast and have these qualities in your own home. You don't need to do epic journeys. Your epic journey is just living day to day, I think, for most of us right now, Elder Christopherson, he said something really cool. He said to preserve firm and steadfast, to persevere. To persevere firm and steadfast in the faith of Christ requires that the gospel of Jesus Christ penetrates one heart and soul. So it's not just a surface thing. This is a deeply seated, in your heart, because that's what it was for Ruth. Now for Orpah, probably a wonderful woman, but maybe didn't have that religious conviction to Jesus Christ, because you remember the Moabites did not worship Jesus Christ, so maybe she didn't have that, and that's okay, it's fine, she didn't need to have it, but that's just the way that she decided to live, as opposed to the way Ruth decided to live. And Ruth decided that, no, I've committed to this, I'm going to stick with it. To persevere firm and steadfast in the faith of Christ requires the gospel of Jesus Christ penetrates one's heart and soul, and to do that means we're steadfast and loyal. So there's something to think about there, because beautiful story. We're going to talk some more about Ruth and about how she trusted in the Lord and how her story comes out really awesome. I'll see you for insight number 2 really shortly. See ya.